guys. Jesse here with Demigod Ascendancy. We got John from Incantation
here. Hey, what's up?
Incantation. So, have you guys played Vegas before?
Yeah, we played Vegas 2 times before.
Oh yeah, like the Deathfest or just?
No, just shows. We did one headlining show a couple, maybe 3 or 4 years back, and one time we did a show opening with Marduk.
Oh yeah.
And that was killer too.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun too. This is our first time playing the Deathfest. We've been talking with Mike from the Deathfest for a while, but finally this year kind of fell together, you know? It's cool. It's a killer lineup this year. So
there seems to be a lot more like old school bands and shit this year, right?
Yeah, that's good. Cool. It's good to get a good mix, you know?
Yeah, it's like to see fucking Pessimists and shit with you guys. Fucking
yeah.
Like Morpheus descends on Friday and shit.
Yeah, they're a killer band too. Yeah.
Because I'm more like an old school guy, so.
Yeah, Morpheus Descends is a great band from back in the day too.
Yeah.
They're one of the local bands with us in New Jersey, New York area.
Yeah, they said they're working on some new stuff too. So
yeah, I'm sure it'll be killer.
Yeah. What'd you think about the reception these fuckers? Hey, dude. What's up, man?
Yeah, man.
What I think of the reception of the show?
Yeah.
I thought it was killer. Yeah, it was good. I mean, you know, it's always rough playing the last night of a brutal death fest. I mean, you know, 4 nights of metal, and
mayhem.
The crowd was still into it, raging, it was head banging. You know, seeing a pick going sometimes, so it was good. A good show. We had a blast. I mean, we're going to kick ass either way. If people are digging it or not, you know, we're still going to give it all and tell people fuck off if they don't like it because they're just posers. You know, it's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah, let's move on. Yeah, so you guys are coming to Vancouver pretty quick too, eh?
Yeah, that'd be killer.
I didn't even mean to say A there.
It's okay.
It's
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry. Oh, sorry, A.
Sorry, A.
Sorry, A. We're.
Get her going right. Keep your stick on the ice.
You need a beer, A.
Yeah.
Petey. Let's do some. Play some hockey, eh?
Keep your stick on the ice.
I might be the only Canadian that doesn't like hockey. But yeah, it should be
Be
cool.
careful, don't tell anybody. I don't want you. You might get deported to the US.
I like hockey. Justin Trudeau, it's all good, bro.
Yeah. Gronkowski, right? Is your idol?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Grew up with Gretzky posters all.
Oh, Gretzky. Yeah, I always get it wrong, but anyway, it's cool.
Yeah. So, have you guys played in Canada much, or?
Yeah, I mean, in our history of the band, yeah, we played a hell of a lot, but not for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, not for a while out your way, except we did Farmageddon Fest in Edmonton, and that was 3 or 4 years ago. I can't remember.
Yeah.
And that was an outdoor fest, and it was fun. I mean, it was a good fest, and it was great because we played with Aggression, which is one of my favorite thrash bands ever.
Yeah.
And even Grim Reaper played, which was classic too, so I was loving that. But it was the fucking night we played was fucking like freezing out and like rainy, ice rain.
Yes.
And this was like in May or something like that.
Yeah.
So I thought I didn't have to worry about it being so cold in Edmonton, but fuck, dude, it was fucking freezing.
Yeah, -40 with -20 wind chill.
It was really cold, dude. I had to play with a full jacket on. Well, actually, I didn't. The rest of the band played with full jackets, and I just couldn't. So I dealt with the cold. But you know, 3 or 4 songs into it, the fingers start to move
your
a
fingers
little bit. Yeah, just in the beginning, it gets a little, you know, a little tough to move around.
Now let's talk about your history with Aggression. So is that like one of the first albums you bought to get you into like thrash? Or?
Not necessarily. What it was is just I was always a big fan of the Canadian thrash scene back in the day.
Like Razor and shit.
Yeah, Razor, Slaughter, Sacrifice, and then some of the bands from Montreal, like Dead Brain Cells, Voivod, Damnation, even like Groovy Yardbark and stuff like that. I was digging. So there was this, you know, I was always a big fan of that stuff ever since I started hearing it, and I got that through Tape Trade. I got the unreleased Aggression album, and yeah, it just blew me away. I don't know what it was. It was
so aggressive.
Yeah, it was like
fast as fuck.
to me it was like pissed off thrash. It had like almost like a punk vibe to it, like almost a punk or almost a death metal vibe, but it was still thrash, and it just had that pissed offness that I like in music, because I'm a fan of really pissed off music.
Yeah.
And I'm sad that thrash is not going that direction, because a lot of thrash went in the direction of the more chilled out,
fucking laid back shit.
Well, like
around like the
Party
stuff.
vibe, or
I'm gonna I'll say more like even like a Testament or something like that,
Yeah.
where it got to be really nice thrash, and
Polished, or-
yeah, too polished. You know, I mean, I was more of a fan of the the pissed off thrash, and Aggression was kind of like the for me the kings of that style. I mean, and then I got the Full Treatment album, and it was just one of those albums, because I was playing a band called Revenant at the time, and it was like what I wanted to be doing with Revenant, but I didn't really know how to do it, you know, because when I was in Revenant, I was like, still learning how to express myself with music, and when I heard Aggression, it was like that's it, you know. Like if Revenant would have sounded like Aggression to me, I probably would have stayed in Revenant and not left, because I just loved how pissed off it was. But yeah,
That was like a really big influence on it.
yeah, it was, and I was
really
so pissed off because, you know, I wanted to go see them play, and they were broken up already, you know,
Yeah.
by the time
Yeah.
I got to see them, you know, or got to want to see them, you know. I mean, but yeah, Canada's always been a big place for me. I mean, even back in '88, when I was 18, I took it when I was allowed to, because I couldn't go before that, because I didn't have a passport, and I could only go with, you know, my what's it called, birth certificate. So I went to see, what was it, Dead Brain Cells, Soothsayer, and Groovy Aardvark, and got to hang out with Zaz, who used to manage the Cremains at the time over in Montreal. And I got my first taste of Poutine over there, and
Never go back.
yeah. And I just remember there's so much metal, so much drinking. It was just great, but yeah, I was bummed out. I think I actually might have met one of the guys who used to play in Aggression at the time, but I'm so drunk I barely remember it. But when I got to meet those guys, you know, I got to see them again in Edmonton at the Farmageddon Fest. It was quite funny, because like now I was doing a video interview, or I don't know if it was video, it was an audio interview, and I didn't even realize they were playing the fest. Like, it didn't even, I don't know what, but I didn't even know they were playing. And then I'm doing the interview, and I'm hearing these songs that I knew from my childhood, and I was just like, what's going on here? You know, I told the guy, you know, excuse me, I have to stop the interview, you know. I'll finish the interview later, but I got to go and headbang for a while, you know. And it was just, it was great. I mean,
it's such a trip.
well, to hear like Forsaken, Survival, and all those, because these were songs I listened to as a child, you know, a young metalhead, and to hear, you know, these are songs that I would you know, listen to going to practice or just at home, class and stuff. And it wasn't Aggression wasn't a band that a lot of people really knew. It was one of those bands that I would have to tell people, like, you know, don't be a trend fag, you know, check out some real fucking metal, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, I was an asshole like that back then, like, you know, because I go to the mall and they'd be all into, like, you know, whatever, Anthrax or whatever kind of crap, you know, at the time, you know, like I'm the Man or something like that, and I'd be like, no, dude, you gotta get with the program, you know.
Yeah.
Listen to, you know, either Aggression or, you know, Old Sepultura,
Just hand out
something that's like
the Full Treatment.
yeah, something to try to like get people to, like, you know, learn about metal, you know, because I always looked at it like, you know, people that listen to like the wimpier styles of metal are just people that just didn't get the opportunity to hear real metal yet. They want to like it, but you know, they need to be force fed
Yet
a little bit.
Yet they don't branch out. Like those
A lot of them don't. Yeah, but I was an asshole. I would make sure that they would at least hear it, you know.
Make sure you know.
Yeah, I would tell them to grow up and be a man, you know.
Wow.
I mean, I was a real dick. Yeah, you go like to the arcade or something, you know, like make fun of all the posers there, you know. But what was it? Yeah, it was. But like, because I look at it the way I look at, you know, metal. Like I was into metal and, you know, like whatever, grew up with, you know, say Kiss, AC/DC and whatever in the 70s, and then got into, you know, like the Iron Maiden, Judas Priest and Venom and that kind of stuff. But it's like, you know, I was looking for it, but, you know, the first time I heard Venom, you know, I didn't get it 100%, you know, like it was evil and it was fucked up, but you know, it takes a little bit to like really, because you know, you're not ready for it. Like when you hear Slayer for the first time, you know, early on especially, you know, you don't get it the first second you hear it, so you kind of need someone to tell you to be a man and fucking listen to some real fucking metal and don't fucking, you know.
Get through the period.
Yeah, get through
Let it get in you.
Like, the first time my friend bought Possessed Seven Churches, and he got 2 records in his one record. They made a mistake and they put 2 into 1, so he gave me the one record. I never had the cover of it. I just have the record of it from my friend.
That's so cool.
His name was Ben Adler that bought the original one.
Yeah.
And I heard
what
it.
year was that when you got the 7 churches? 89 or 90?
No, it was earlier. It was.
Wow.
I was still in high school, so it had to have been. It was probably 86 or 87. I can't remember. You know, it's hard to remember dates when it's that long ago, but it was probably my sophomore year in high school or something, because I didn't have a car, and my mom drove me to the flea market where they used to have the record store, so it had to have been there. I had to have been around sophomore year or something like that. But anyway, so when I first listened to Possessed Seven Churches, I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I heard this fucking the evilest thing I ever heard in my life, and I'm just like, I don't know what's going on, but I should, you know, like I just don't feel right not understanding it, you know.
Yeah.
So you give it a couple listens, and you start to really understand it because it's deeper. That's almost thinking of that reminds me of music now, because music now is so cheap. Now people hear stuff, like listen to it on YouTube for like 2 seconds and they don't like it. I mean, you can understand if it really sucks, you're never going to like it. You know, if it's one of those lame, whatever, like
what do you
folk
think it's like
metal
for
things
now,
or whatever.
like kids growing up now? Like, if they're looking for metal, they're going to find so much fucking bullshit. Like, it's pretty fucking brutal nowadays. I'm surprised
like,
I feel like
that
back then at least there was like fucking like Metallica and like
it was tame or whatever.
Like fucking like Old
Now it's
Testament and
just
shit.
oversaturated.
Now it's like fucking like, what are you gonna find? Like some kind of like metalcore like Bullet for My Valentine or something.
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
Like, it's like someone actually has to like grab
It's
you
more
by
a
the hand.
popularity
and, like,
contest too. It's not even about being.
You guys-
about likes on
like,
Facebook.
how much you share it.
while we're here, someone tell me about this band called Parkway Drive.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Some kind
Come
of
on,
fucking-
they played like one of the nicest venues
I'm
in
sure it's
Pittsburgh.
a band, and like all their fan base is 14-year-old girls.
Only time I saw them is they played with a lot of brutal bands,
See,
like
I knew-
Behemoth
I don't
and
even
shit.
know.
But I only saw them when I was once, and it was like they played with almost like Hate Eternal. I'm not even joking. It was like Behemoth, Hate Eternal. I think Guar played. It was like the most. And then you had like Trivium. It was like the weird, but like that band was there, and
Parkway
everyone.
Drive.
And I was still young, and I just couldn't believe that a band like that was playing with like Behemoth and Hate. I'm pretty sure. it
Well,
played with those
I understand.
bands.
I mean, I understand a band like Behemoth or Hate Eternal wanting to
Capture a different crowd.
play for some different people. I mean,
Yeah.
fuck it. I'll play with whatever lame ass band if they bring a lot of people and because you got to teach them about metal and stuff like that. You know, it's tough to think of how many Parkway Drive fans are going to be into Hate Eternal, but
That's good.
maybe
That's good.
Some of them will. I mean, I was back in the day. When I was playing at Revenant, we would open up for poser bands. I'm from New Jersey, so we had all like the poser bands. Like one of the big ones was
Kicks.
yeah, Kicks. But no, the one I'm thinking about is American Angel. They never got popular, but they were like one of the bands, local bands we'd open up for. You know, it'd be like us, the first band, and then like 4 poser bands or whatever. And we were in Revenant. We were like kind of like a death thrash band, maybe deathcore kind of thing. And we would literally play at a show, and there would be a good amount of people there, but you know, there'd be like one person after the show being like, "That was fucking killer," you know. And we
that one guy makes it all.
Literally, back in that time when I was in Revenant, we got each fan almost one by one. It was so because there just wasn't like a scene back then, you know.
You guys do an album?
I didn't do one with Revenant. I ended up doing their demos.
Is that like the Revenant that I'm?
It's the one that they did an album called "Prophecies of the Dying World."
Oh yeah, I know that. It's awesome.
And they, I did.
So you were like a founding member of?
No, I joined Henry Vegian and John Pratcher were the original guys, and they started the band, and I joined maybe about 6 months into, but they never had a second guitar player, so I was their first second guitar player, but it was really their band, and I was just so happy to find a band that was playing extreme music because, you know, before that, it was like I was in a cover band, and they were playing more like Anthrax and the stuff. It was more like Anthrax and Metallica songs, and I was trying to push him more to do Celtic Frost and Creative and stuff. Yeah, Chuck's in the band. So anyway,
come on in. It's a big comfy couch.
yeah. So
Big comfy couch.
so what's
Nice.
so anyway, I'm not an original member of Revenant, but I played on the 2 demos they did, and then I left before he did the 7-inch. I mean, I wrote music with them, but it was all Revenant music, so I didn't even bother with it when I left. I wanted to just... Well, actually, one Incantation song was a Revenant song they didn't like. It was Unholy Massacre. Was
I'll show you, folks.
well, it was just, what it was is at that time I wrote the song, and I thought it was really good, and I was actually... We were looking for a drummer at the time, and I found Paul Ledney, and we were playing it, and it sounded really fucking evil, and I'm like, wow, this is really good, and they heard it, and they, like, didn't like it. They thought it was, like, too heavy or too brutal or whatever, and I was just like, how can that be? You know? What does that mean? Yeah.
What is this? I thought you guys were my friends.
Yeah. So I was just like, and I remember getting the arguments with them. Like, it's like, this doesn't make sense to me. You know, like how can it be too brutal or too evil? You know, so I realized then, you know, and it wasn't an easy choice to leave Revenant because I worked really hard and I love playing in that band, and I appreciate everything, the opportunities I got with them because I learned so much. But when it got time, I knew that their vision of the band and their destiny was a different destiny than mine, and it was only out of respect to them that I left. Like, they were kind of annoyed that I left, but it was like I just couldn't do it. I couldn't. It would have been too much tension because I would have always been like, you gotta like scuff it up on the edges, you know, and they wanted to make it more.
I find if you can't like have any creative like input, like how are you going to be in a band for?
Well, it was difficult because it got to the point where Henry and I we're going like song to song. Like he'd write a song, he'd write a song. And we'd have other people in the band contribute to, but Henry and I became the primary songwriters for Revenant at the time. So it was kind of like, you know, he would come up with his song, and I would think it's not brutal enough, and I come up with my song, and he'd think it's too brutal. So it was like, well, obviously it's not working. You know, the chemistry is not working. You know.
But we gave tribute to them.
Yeah, we did a cover of one of the songs I wrote for him for Decibel magazine, Degeneration. It was fun to redo it because that was like the last song I wrote for them before the one I wrote that they didn't like. So I guess it's officially second best. But I was just so bummed out because when I heard the version that they did of it, they had every right possible to do it, but it sounded too refined, too nice, and it just always bothered me because my vision of that song was a little bit different. So I ended up, you know, I contacted Henry from Revenant. This was only a couple years ago, and I told him, we got offered to do a Decibel, one of those Decibel things that are in their, little record flexies or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I said, it'd be really cool. I love to do the old Revenant song, and kind of put my spin. And I tried to listen to the old live shows that we did and tried to get the old rough live show vibe of it than the album. And I listened back to the album, and the album sounds great. I mean, all the songs, the ones that I wrote and the ones Henry wrote are on the Prophecies album, and they all sound great. It just, at that time, I couldn't handle the fact that it wasn't the most brutal, heaviest thing that ever walked the face of the earth. Because if it wasn't absolutely the most brutalist, it wasn't worth putting on vinyl,
Yeah.
And going back to Aggression, that's why I liked Aggression, because they did their thrash in a big fuck you kind of way.
Yeah.
And when I listen to
Very angry and
when I listen to thrash or death metal or hardcore punk, whatever, I want them to tell me to fuck off and I'm worthless and piece of shit. I don't listen to it to feel nice. I don't want to be like, wow, they're really fucking talented. I'm really impressed.
They mean it.
Yeah, they're really
Slaughter.
Yeah. 1, 2, fuck you, that's great. But I mean, it's great, obviously it's great, playing good, but the attitude is the most important thing. The other aspects of it are secondary, because music is meant to be a feeling that means something to you. It's not about the it's not just about the technical ability. Technical ability maybe makes it easier, but the the feeling is the 100% most important thing, because I like stuff that is technically done good in that feeling, and there's stuff that's just whatever.